We've gone to a great deal of trouble to select for you a very fine wife.
I want a woman that's going to arouse my intellect as well as my loins.
Where will you find such a woman?
In America.
So he traveled across the sea to the land of opportunity, which is where the fairy tale ends and our story begins.
Behold, Simi, life, real life, a thing that we have been denied for far too long.
Hey guys, I'm Kevin.
I'm Jake.
And this is Movie Matters. We are on our episode 101. Just finished up episode 100 with Terminator 2. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that episode. We've got another box office monster here from the 80s, not the 90s this time. And it's Coming to America from 1988. I've actually never seen this movie, which is surprising. I feel like I had seen it before, but I definitely have not. And I loved it. I thought it was excellent. Have you seen it before, Jake?
Yeah, I watched it like a year ago, maybe.
Oh,
just randomly. Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah, I had no idea. I thought it would be just okay, and I really enjoyed it. I laughed out loud a whole bunch of times. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Everything about it is great. And there's quite a bit of fun trivia on this movie that I'm excited to talk about. But you know, the movie is a box office monster. It made a ton of money. What's funny is this is considered a romantic comedy, which I never like.
Barely.
I would just think it. I mean, I get it. It's a love story.
Yeah.
You know, but I think of it more as a comedy. But most of the time, romantic comedies, or at least this time in the 80s, most of them with a black cast did not do well domestically overseas. This movie made $128 million at the box office in the U.S. and $161 million overseas, which is insane.
Yeah.
And it was made on a $30 million budget, so it made a ton of money. It was Paramount's biggest hit that year, and also became the first hit in Japan featuring a black antagonist, which is pretty interesting. It was the third highest grossing film in the U.S. in '88. It grossed $21 million domestically in its opening weekend, which is huge. At that time, it was the biggest opening weekend for a non-sequel, which surpassed Beverly Hills Cop, which is crazy. I mean, to think this movie did so well is crazy. I don't know. I mean, I think it's well-deserved of this. It's directed by John Landis, who we know from Blues Brothers and Trading Places, which we've done on this podcast. John Landis at the time at least for this movie, had a very bad reputation. And we've kind of talked about it in our other John Landis movies, specifically due to a string of movies failing and manslaughter charges for the accident on Twilight Zone, where the one of the actors and two children got killed, which is terrible, which we still need to do that movie, The Twilight Zone. Basically, him and Eddie Murphy actually had a falling out. And a lot of it has to do with, and I think I talked about it in our Trading Places review, Eddie Murphy basically didn't back up John Landis in court, or didn't testify for him for the manslaughter charges. And that hurt John Landis, and that hurt their relationship. And basically, him and Eddie Murphy, you know, they had become friends on Trading Places, but they got into a fist fight in this shoot. They basically were at first kind of joking around and doing your mama jokes, and it went too far, and then basically they got into a physical altercation where Eddie Murphy had John Landis in a headlock, and that basically kind of started their falling out. And yeah, so they just vowed to vowed to finish the movie and like never work with each other again. However, they kind of buried the hatchet, and Eddie Murphy got Landis the job for Beverly Hills Cop 3. But Eddie Murphy, regardless, went to bat for John Landis for this movie because he's like, I've always had the best experience on set with John Landis because he lets you play and improvise and have a good time. So obviously he worked with Martin Brest on Beverly Hills Cop. He worked with Walter Hill on 48 Hours, Tony Scott for Beverly Hills Cop 2. But he vouched for Landis over all of them, saying, I like him the best, which is pretty interesting, even after the accident.
I read
the Twilight
an
Zone
interview with Murphy that must have been between this and Beverly Hills Cop 3, where he said, like, yeah, Landis was coming off a string of, failures plus the Twilight Zone, tragedy. And after working with him on Coming to America, he wished he had left it that way. So, yeah, it seems like this working together on this movie kind of solidified that rift, at least temporarily.
Yeah, definitely. So this movie is kind of, I wouldn't say long, but it's longer than most 80s comedies. I mean, it's almost 2 hours long. It's an hour and like 56, 57 minutes. In 2015, John Landis, in an interview, said that he liked Coming to America, but he felt the movie was paced kind of poorly, which is interesting. And he requested that Paramount allow him to produce a director's cut for the Blu-ray disc, which would have shortened the movie and improved its pacing. Paramount refused and was like, no, we're not touching this because this movie's been so successful for us. So what do you think? Do you think this movie could be cut down and made even better? What do you think?
I'd agree. I don't know if it's like a pacing problem. It's just not. I feel like the structure is a little too loose. Like,
I could see that.
And like the Blues Brothers is very similar, where there's like it's not really clear where like Act 1 and Act 2 like kind of like meet, and like it's easier to tell when Act 2 becomes Act 3. Especially in Coming to America. But yeah, like I feel like Act 1 in Coming to America is very long. Act 2 is very long, and then Act 3 is very short. And like the end is just kind of like compressed and like gets through the whole like romantic part of the romantic comedy very quickly, and then like you're done and like, that's it.
I agree.
Which, like, I would be a bit more picky if the rest of the movie wasn't so funny. So,
I agree. Yeah, like the ending feels rushed a bit, where Lisa just shows up out of nowhere in Africa in Zamunda, and is like, "Hey, the parents reconciled and got me here," but it's just like they do a wave and that's it. That's like the explanation, which I almost wanted a little bit of that reconciliation between the parents. I wanted to see that in person, but I mean, they're not the main characters, so I get it. But that was a little bit rushed, so I agree with you. Act 3 is definitely rushed a bit. I could see this movie being cut down maybe 15 minutes. But
like I feel like the parts you would cut out are good gags.
Yeah.
So like it's not worth it.
Agreed. It's just, again, I was so surprised with how much I liked this movie. I expected to just be like, okay, it's a good 80s comedy with Eddie Murphy. But again, I loved it. Like, I loved it a lot. I'm so surprised how much I loved it. I mean, it's well acted. This movie was also nominated for 2 Oscars, which is crazy. I had no idea that was that this movie was nominated. It was nominated for Best Makeup from Rick Baker, who is from Star Wars. We know him from Star Wars. And he lost to Beetlejuice. So I get it. Beetlejuice.
Fair,
yeah, it's very fair. Beetlejuice is awesome. The makeup in that movie is awesome. We actually talk about that in our Beetlejuice review when we do the Legacy sequel, which this movie could have been good for a Legacy sequel month because there's Coming to, the number 2, America, the sequel. Have you seen that?
I did not.
Yeah, I have not either. I don't think it's very good.
Yeah. The sequel coming out actually prompted me to watch this one.
That makes sense.
Like a year and a half ago or whatever it was. And then I feel like somebody told me that the sequel was like not worth watching, and I was like, I'd rather not like tarnish the original by watching the sequel.
Yeah.
But you know, I might watch it at some point.
I think I'll watch it. I think I'll watch it soon. But pretty interesting. Again, it's right now is very nostalgia heavy and going back to classic movies to make money and sequels, and Hollywood's running out of ideas. But I real quick, I just remembered I wanted to go back to you talking about the like 3-act structure of this movie. Because, and I want to relate it to movies today, and I always like doing that with these reviews. A lot of movies that I watch, I feel like have no structure to them anymore. They don't have that beginning, middle, end, or beginning, middle, climax, and then end. Like a lot of movies don't have that, and that's, I think personally, maybe I'm used to that. And seeing these new movies, I'm just like, these movies fucking suck. Like, for example, I went and saw. And this relates to this movie in a sense. It's a romantic comedy. I saw Materialists with my girlfriend, and I thought the movie fucking sucked. Because there was no structure to it. There was no beginning, middle, and end to it. Like clear beginning, or 3-act structure. And I mentioned that to my girlfriend, and she was like, "Oh, like she didn't, obviously she didn't go to film school or doesn't follow movies as much as we, us crazy guys do." And I told her kind of what the 3-act structure was, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense." And yeah, I could see that complaint with this movie, but like you said, with it being so funny and well done, I don't have a need to complain about that. Had the movie Materialists, been good, I wouldn't have complained about that. Right. So it's funny that you say that. It's like certain things can make you overlook the negatives of movies, and I feel like a lot of movies these days, they're mostly negative, so I don't have a lot of positives to say. I am going to see the F1 movie, and I hope that's good, because that's an original movie, and it's my fingers are crossed that it's good. And I'll report back in our next review if I liked it, if I remember.
And like the sad part is, a lot of the movies that are original now are the ones that kind of suck because they aren't following that like standard kind of structure, and like
trying to be different.
They're not like telling a story well, and stuff.
Which is ironic because that's exactly what fucking movies are.
Right, yeah.
It's a storytelling medium. Like,
right. Well, like a lot of like the more successful movies that I've watched in terms of like success, in terms of that, like I liked them, have been like remakes or based off of existing source material, like books or other movies or whatever. Like, I watched Nosferatu earlier this year and thought it was amazing, but I
thought it was cool.
Basically the Dracula book and movies and everything, and like it's very structured. It's very has a very clear message, that it's conveying to you as the viewer. So it's hard to screw that up unless you really try,
Yeah.
At least from the storytelling perspective.
Yeah.
Like,
good point.
To draw a parallel, I think, between another movie that's in the same kind of vein as Coming to America is Step Brothers. where it's a very meandering movie, but like it's so funny that it's just like acceptable that like there is no plot at all in
Yeah.
that movie, you know?
Yeah.
And then Act 3 is just like, you know, a like garbage fire, but it's a hilarious garbage fire, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like totally, it's like, okay, like
Yeah, that's a
I'm
great
all right
point.
with that, you know?
That's great comparison. I'd almost argue too, like a completely different style of movie, but like Mad Max Fury Road, which is one of my all-time favorite movies of recent times. It's like there's no fucking plot to that movie, really. It's literally
Yeah.
one giant chasing, but the movie's so awesome and so well done that you overlook the plot aspect of it, if you will. But yeah, very, very interesting. All good points for sure. It was also nominated, this movie, for Best Costume Design, which the costume design in this movie is well done. It lost
Yeah.
to Dangerous Liaisons, which I've never seen. Have you seen that?
No.
Okay.
Who's in that?
No idea. I barely looked it up, to be honest. But we'll have to add it to
what's
the list. I think, is it William Hurt? Or am I thinking of something else?
I'm thinking of a Tarantino movie. What am I thinking of? True Romance?
He wrote that.
He wrote that. He didn't direct that one.
Glenn Close, John Malkovich, Dangerous Liaisons.
Okay.
It's a period piece.
Oh, okay.
Look, at least it looks like it. All our good movies that we like lose to period pieces. I feel
Yeah.
like. I get why costume design work wins on period pieces, though.
Which quick sidebar.
Got good reviews, that movie, Dangerous Liaisons. Might have to add it.
Well, we'll have to watch it.
Yeah. All right, sidebar.
So like I told you that I've been buying scripts of movies that I like to like read them and like, you know, kind of learn a little bit.
Yeah.
And I had bought a couple Tarantino scripts, and so now all I get on Amazon recommendations are, you know, scripts. But like I'm like, you know, browsing through, and I'm like, oh, Tarantino. I'm like, I didn't realize how many movies he wrote but did not direct.
Yeah.
It's a surprising number.
What's the one Oliver Stone did? I'm blanking on the name.
Natural Born Killers.
Yes, thank you.
Which I
He
had
wrote
no
that.
idea he wrote that.
Oh,
I was
really?
Like, whoa.
Yeah, okay.
I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
For
True
some
Romance
reason
is
I
awesome.
thought, yeah, I haven't seen that.
You've not
so
seen that
I want to
movie?
see it.
Dude,
Yeah,
you
I
gotta
wanna
watch
see
it. It's so awesome. There's some really badass scenes in that
Who
movie.
directed that?
That one is Tony Scott, dude. That's
Is it?
Tony
Okay.
Scott. I'm pretty sure. I'll double check, but yeah, that's
Is that Arnold?
no. You're thinking of True Lies.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's right.
Yeah, True Romance is Christian Slater and Patricia Arquette
Okay.
and fucking Gary Oldman's awesome in it.
Oh.
You've got Christopher Walken in it. It's like the cast is fucking stacked. It's so
Nice.
dope.
All right. I'll
And yeah,
put that-
I just verified he did direct it.
I'll put that on my mental list of stuff I
Yeah,
need to watch.
Dennis Hopper is fucking awesome in it. There's a really crazy scene with him that is awesome. That movie is super. I'd say it's underrated, actually. True Romance. So, yeah. But
So anyway, back to the,
sidetracked a little bit. But yeah, so Eddie Murphy obviously was super popular. That helped with this box office success of this movie. He demanded $1,500 a week for his personal trainer, around the clock chauffeur service, and valet, and $1,000 a week for his brother as a stand-in. That's
Charlie
insane.
Murphy.
Yep, Charlie Murphy. So this is actually the first movie that Eddie Murphy plays multiple characters in, and I had no idea. Hence why the makeup is awesome in this movie.
Yeah.
And him and Arsenio Hall play multiple characters. They would go through about 3 to 4 hours of makeup sessions, which is pretty crazy. Rick Baker would make life casts of the actors' faces, then constructed clay facial sculptures onto which he molded foam rubber appliances that the actors wore, in addition to hand-woven hair, eyebrow, and mustache pieces. Pretty crazy. So very detailed. The characters look real, which is awesome.
Yeah. Well, I think each of them play 4 characters total.
I think so.
All of them look really good. And like, if you took their voices out of it, you can't even tell on some of them that it's even Eddie Murphy and Arsenio. It's pretty crazy.
It's very crazy. I mean, at times I'm like, is that Arsenio Hall? Is that Eddie Murphy too? So like obviously you've got that barbershop group with all the characters, and that's awesome. You've got, let me see, I had some good stuff on that.
The preacher is Arsenio.
Yep, he's hilarious. He also plays the other guy in the barbershop with the glasses.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy plays the Jewish guy, which is hilarious. John Landis was like, I need to make up for like Jewish comedians making fun of and like doing blackface in the 1900s, and like people doing blackface in the 1900s. He's like, I'm gonna have Eddie Murphy in a Jewish like costume, which is hilarious, and he does an awesome job, and the voice he does is hysterical.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Funny.
It's so good. And then his barbershop guy is really funny. I mean, this is the movie that started it all. Like, think of Nutty Professor, like that. And like he does that in a ton of his movies, and he got inspiration from Dr. Strangelove.
Oh yeah.
So
Peter Sellers plays like 20 people in that movie.
Yeah, which is so cool. Like, that's awesome. I feel like not a lot of movies do that anymore. Like, that's not a thing, really.
Yeah,
and it really wasn't a big thing in a sense. Only, select people did it. And which like reminds me of the bit in Tropic Thunder with Jack Black paying the fatties or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
the fatties.
So good.
Like, and it's funny because like Eddie Murphy's not known for like his impressions like in his stand-up or anything either. It's like it's kind of funny that like he went and did that in this movie and like actually like nails it pretty well.
He's got such an iconic voice, and like mannerisms too, and he does disappear behind these characters. What's funny is when he plays the Jewish character Saul, he wanted to test the makeup and costume out, which I love hearing stories like this because a lot of people do this. He got a golf cart and drove from one studio department to another in Paramount Studios. He would get out of the cart and say in his regular voice, "Hi, I'm Eddie Murphy," and no one believed him, which is awesome.
That's funny.
I love when actors do that. Like recently I read a thing with Colin Farrell where he was in the Penguin costume makeup and he would go and order coffee as the Penguin, and people like were like, what the fuck? Like they just were kind of scared of him.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a really good makeup transformation. Like, Colin Farrell's Penguin is really good.
I've yet to watch the show. I need to watch the show. Have you watched the show?
I haven't watched it either, but that's on my list.
Yeah, it's on my list too. There's just so much fucking content out right now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But, I love the beginning and it kind of showcasing what how royal Eddie Murphy is as a prince and how like powerful his family are or is. Like, he's got ass wipers, he's got bathers. The royal penis is clean, Your Highness, which is doesn't Eminem use that in one of his songs? I think
he might.
I'm pretty sure he does. But that's a really funny line. And then I also think it's funny that it's like, oh, Eddie Murphy, it's your 21st birthday. And I'm like, there's no way he's 21. So I looked it up.
He's like 35.
No, he's 27. I looked it up.
Oh, is he? Okay.
He was 27 when they made this movie. But still, 21, that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But it's also funny to see like people back then. I just saw a thing on the internet that Paul Rudd is like 8 years older than Wilford Brimley was in Cocoon. And it shows a picture of Wolford Brimley, which you know who Wolford Brimley is from like The Thing and a bunch of other movies, which we got to watch Cocoon. You said you've never seen it, right?
No, I haven't.
It's awesome. It's awesome. And like Paul Rudd looks like fucking 40 and Wolford Brimley looks like he's fucking 70. It's hilarious.
And they're both what, like 50?
Yeah, in their 50s.
Something. Yeah.
For sure. Just interesting how, I don't know, life and future technology, I guess, and makeup and working out and everything makes you look younger. It's just very interesting.
But there's a meme. I don't know if it's real or not, but there's a meme of Sean Connery and one of the like, I'm trying to think of what movie this kid was in. I call him a kid, but he's like our age, but he looks like a little baby. Like his face, like Sean Connery. And like this is like they're both like 32 or whatever in the pictures, and like Sean Connery looks like a leather briefcase. Like it was obviously in like peak Bond at that time. So like it's just funny how like it's different everything is, but I guess people aren't like chain smoking anymore and like that kind of stuff, so that probably
modern
helps
technology. Yeah, for sure. I like when Eddie Murphy and so Akeem is his name and Arsenio Hall, I like when they're kind of fighting with the sticks, and it shows it in the trailer too, where Eddie Murphy does the backflips and it's clearly like a stunt double, and then he lands and like smiles. I love that little bit. Like I laughed super hard when that happened.
Yeah, it's always like I like when comedies throw little like action type things like that in, because it's never done like particularly well, and that's what kind of makes it like fun.
Yeah, it makes it funny for sure. But I like the message for this movie is pretty cool. I like that it's in terms of the romantic comedy aspect. I know we mentioned it's not as much a romantic comedy, but from a romantic comedy perspective, this movie is it storming out by you? Yeah,
there's like loud thunder going on.
That sounds awesome. I wish I had that. It sounds great. I can hear it. So from a romantic comedy perspective, this movie has a pretty cool message with like how women are kind of money grubbing, but it's like in terms of Eddie Murphy is like, look, I don't want someone who just wants me for my fame and my royalty. I want a woman that is actually on the same level as me, which I love that. That's such a great message for a romantic comedy, especially from the 80s. And it being a predominantly all black cast, like I love it. It's damn, dude. Some big thunder.
Layla broke into my office and she's like shivering under my chair.
I've got my dog. Well, she moved. I don't know where she is at, but she was like under my desk thing here and was pushing my stand, which is funny. So, yeah, that's loud, that thunder.
Yeah.
Is it raining?
Yeah, I think so.
Nice.
It looks like a really small storm, so hopefully it'll be over in a minute. But
yeah. We don't have a lot of storms like that here in Arizona, that's for sure. I miss that from Illinois. But yeah, I like the message that this movie's conveying, and I like that Eddie Murphy is like, look, I want to slum it, which is kind of funny, and like I want this woman to love me for who I am, not for my royalty and my fortune. Again, that's a cool message, and I like that. It's a great theme. And like, there's a line that says like, women are bimbos that should marry men of like, or maybe this wasn't the line, but this is like what I wrote down. Like, women are bimbos that should marry men of power, and that's like an argument. I think the even like the dad says something like along those lines. James Earl Jones, who's awesome in this as well.
Yeah.
All the dads are awesome in this too. Like John Amos, who plays Lisa's dad, is fucking hilarious, and I love the whole McDonald's thing.
Yeah.
That is hysterical. That's an awesome bit.
And I like how the dads are kind of mirrors of each other.
Yeah.
in like a way that's kind of like a good like character design, you know? Like they're both very like materialistic and like superficially oriented, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. The tribal dance number at the beginning of the movie is awesome.
Yeah.
It's so well done. Paula Abdul of like original like American Idol fame, and obviously she was a singer and a choreographer. She designed that whole dance, and they designed it to like a very, I think it was more, I forgot what it said. It was either a fast beat or slow beat to Thriller, Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Oh.
Which is cool. And it took them all day to do the dance. They had to like spray the floor down because everyone was slipping. They had to spray it down with like glue basically, which is crazy. Yeah, that whole sequence is awesome.
Yeah.
It's like so well done and like completely random and sick.
Yeah, it's pretty out of nowhere, but it's also like comically long.
Yes, it is long,
which makes it kind of funny, and like it keeps cutting to like everyone's faces like watching it with like big smiles on their face.
That's something I love about this movie is like the random cuts to characters. Sometimes it's not even characters, like the dog.
Yeah.
More thunder. The dog at the end in like the chair that's just like looking at everyone coming in. I loved that. I was laughing so hard at that. I thought that was hilarious. So good. So good. There's a lot of like, that's good comedy if you ask me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like that Eddie Murphy, like, kind of toys with the woman that's supposed to be his wife, that like his arranged marriage, and like makes her bark like a dog, and then like when she first barks, the fourth wall break of him just like looking at the camera like, are you serious? Is great. Like that's great comedy. There's a lot of great comedic elements and bits to this movie.
Yeah.
Like he gets called a dumb fuck by a cab driver, and he's like, "What's a dumb fuck?"
It's like the first thing that he hears coming off the stepping out of the airport.
And it's just very like New York. You know, everyone's got a foul mouth in New York, and everyone's in a hurry and always swearing at people. And like when he gets into his apartment, and he's like, what does he say? You know, like, hello, like, and then he's like, you know, fuck you. I forget exactly.
All the people just like yelling at him from their windows and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
that part is really funny. Yeah, good morning, my neighbors. Hey, fuck you. Yes, fuck you too. That's what he says. Yeah. I wrote it down. I botched it earlier. I apologize. But going back to the McDowell's McDonald's bit, so John Amos, he like the whole bit and how he copies McDonald's is hilarious. So he's like, they got the Big Mac, I got this. Like they got that, I got this. So John Amos actually had a long history with McDonald's in real life. At one point, Amos worked at the first ever McDonald's restaurant in Canada. And he also starred famously in a famous song and dance McDonald's commercial in '71, Grab a Bucket and Mop. And that scene, they kind of mock it or like parody it when Eddie Murphy like is like, yeah, I can mop, and like mops with the bucket. Yeah. And then you got a funny cameo from Samuel L. Jackson as the guy that robs McDowell's, and apparently he does it like 3 to 4 times a month. Yeah. And Eddie Murphy comes to the rescue, which is cool, and that kind of like shows more bonding with him and Lisa. And I like the courtship that they have together. It's really it's good. It's well done. And at the party, like I like the bit where John Amos, Mr. McDowell, he's just like, yeah, I like want you to come to my party, and then has them working it, which is funny. I like that. But he, like, them at the party is funny, and it's like with Daryl like proposing to Lisa, and Lisa being like, that proposal's out of nowhere and like bullshit, which is great. I love that scene. And then she confides in Akeem, Eddie Murphy's character, and they like bond even more. And I like that. There's just like really good scenes.
Yeah, like they do, like, even though that like end kind of portion is a little rushed and like the romance development part is a little rushed.
Yeah.
They do actually do a good job of the breakdown and then the build up with Akeem and like that transition of her switching between the two.
Yes.
You know? Even though it is fast, it's done in like a pretty believable and like satisfying way, I guess.
Yeah.
Is the best way to put it.
Yeah. Daryl with his perm glow and flow or whatever. Flow and
Soul
glow.
glower.
Soul glow. Yeah. It's so funny. This is there's such little bits that are just so funny.
Oh, the part in the barber shop where they're like talking about Muhammad Ali would never have Jerry curls or something like that. It's pretty funny. Yeah.
And I like then they cut his Prince braid. Like, all right, that's $8. You look better. The pocket change scene is great. So that's a throwback to Trading Places, which I believe we mentioned it in our Trading Places review. Because that's the Duke brothers. That's Ralph Bellamy and Don Amici. And so that's like kind of a funny nod to their other movie, to Trading Places. And it's a great idea. So I like that. I like the whole drama of the king, so James Earl Jones, and the queen coming to America as well. And the whole like bit where Arsenio Hall like opens the door and sees them and then slams the door because he's shocked. That was improvised, and they loved that. Like, everyone loved that and thought it was hilarious. So, it's a great movie. And like, also, again, like you said, like the characters and stuff always reacting to kind of the things around them, which is also kind of a New York thing as well. I feel like so much shit always happens in such a crowded place. Like when they're on the train, Akeem and Lisa, and they're like, Akeem's professing his love for her, and all the people are like listening and watching. I think that's really funny. Again, the dog on the couch or chair was hysterical. Overall, it's a funny movie. I really, really liked it a lot.
Yeah, the scene when they're in the nightclub going through all the women that are like trying to like, you know, get with them or whatever. And Arsenio is dressed like a woman, and
that part's really
when he's
funny.
like talking about what he wants to do to Eddie Murphy, he gets so close to breaking, and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't do it, but like you can see like the edges of his mouth are like he wants to like smile and like lose it so bad.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a funny movie. I was so impressed with how funny it was. I might argue that this might be the funniest 80s movie we've done so far.
I think, it's definitely up there. I know, like, both of us thought Beverly Hills Cop and Trading Places were, like, kind of funny.
Yeah.
But, like, they weren't quite... I mean, this is way funnier than either of those.
I agree.
For sure.
Absolutely agreed.
I think, it's a tough competition with the Naked Gun.
I know. I was just thinking that too. Naked Gun's pretty damn good. Naked Gun. This Clue was really good.
Clue, Airplane.
Yeah, Airplane. All those are really good. I would argue this is pretty top notch.
This is up there though, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely recommend it. I'll have to check out the sequel.
This is 88, right?
Yeah. Yep, same year as Die Hard.
Yeah. I think this is maybe 87, but 88 I think is where like the comedies start to become more like a contemporary style of comedy too.
Yeah.
We get away from that like fast-paced 70s style, that we talked about a lot in some of the earlier 80s comedies that we've done. They really allow things to land, and they allow things to like jokes to develop properly and stuff.
You let the dust settle, or the air. There's a bit of air, and it just the comedy's written a little bit better and more enjoyable. What would you say is the best? Well, I already know your answer. The best blockbuster movie we did this month. I mean, it's obviously Terminator 2.
Well, yeah, Terminator 2.
But let's say
out
80s.
of the 80s movies.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I like this the best.
I might actually agree with you that just because I hadn't seen it before, and I mean I've seen E.T., I've seen Empire Strikes Back. This might win for me just because of me not seeing it.
Yeah, I mean I like Star Wars a lot.
Same.
But of the movies we watched, I'd probably put this one at the top for this month.
Which is pretty crazy. I would actually agree, and I'm a big Spielberg fan, and I'm a big George Lucas fan. So I would say because it's new to me, which is crazy that I hadn't seen this movie. I would probably agree. So let us know what you guys think. Which one was the best besides Terminator 2? We obviously know that that's the best, but hopefully you guys have enjoyed the 100 episodes we've done. This is 101, and more to come. More 80s movies to come. I think Jake and I are going to decide on next month, but I'll be posting it on Instagram and let you know the schedule. And hope you guys enjoyed this, and thank you so much for listening. And we'll have some more fun 80s movies for you coming soon. Yeah. We'll see you guys. Bye. Bye.